So Git is one of the must-have skills as you navigate your automation journey. So whether you're coding or working on a DevOps or handling the network automation. And Git tried to solve two big things. First, it helped to keep track of different versions of your code. And two, it make easy for the team to work together on a project. And when it comes to Git, it is all about those commands. So in this video, we are going to cover all those important commands we need to know to kick off your Git journey. So I'm sure you'll find this super helpful and fun. Let's jump right in and get started. Alright guys, so for this demonstration, we'll use GitLab as a platform. We can use GitHub or a Bitbucket and the commands are going to be same. So first of all, let's go ahead and create a repository. I'll name it as Git with VS Code and make it as public. Then click on create projects. If you go inside this, you can see the repo has been created with a readme file in it. So let's add one more file in this repo. So click on the plus icon here and give a file name as file_1. It is going to be a txt file. Then commit the changes. So now we have the blank file created inside our repository. Now let's say you are a developer and you want to work on this particular file. So for that, we'll get the repo downloaded to our local machine. So in Git world, it is known as cloning. So let's switch to our local system and I will be using VS Code as ID here. So let's enter the command git clone, then provide the repository we want to clone. So on the GitLab, if you click on clone sections, you will see an SSH and HTTP path. So we'll use any of them. Let's use HTTP here and clone the repository from the local system. So when you enter this new folder with the cd command, we can see a txt and a readme file, which is great. Now let's do some deep dive here with the git commands. All the git commands start with git. So let's enter a command git space status. Here the output result says that we are on the main branch, which is the default, and our branch is updated as origin/main. Since there is no changes to commit, that indicates that there is no update happened to any of the files yet. So another useful command is the git log, which is really interesting and it does provide a version control history. So if you try to understand this output, we have to read from the bottom up. First, the initial commit, of course, it happened during the creation of the repository. Then we added a new file, which is addition to the txt file to our repository. So git log actually records the entire history of the file, making it very valuable features. Next, let's work on this file. We can use code command in VS Code to open the file and add some text over there. So once the file is saved, let's go ahead and rerun the git status command again. Now look at this. There are a few important things to understand. Let's zoom in the results here. So it says that change is not staged for a commit. We'll talk about that in a minute. Over here, you can see there is a modified sections. So it says that file_1 has been modified. So essentially, Git recognizes the file modification and we need to commit before sharing this file to everyone. I know you might be confused with some of these terms, so let me do a quick visual explanation for this. When we work with Git, a lot of things happens locally. So let's take a closer look on this. When you install a Git, it makes two containers. One is a staging area, another is a local repository. Let's say that we want to create a file. It doesn't matter what type of file it is, and we save into the local folder in our computer, like how we do generally. Now what we want to do is we want to create a snapshot of this file before we move on. To do that, we need to add to the staging area. Staging area is where you can review the changes before you commit them, and we can use git add command, then the file name to make this happen. We can also use git add with a dot that will add all the changes to the staging area. Once we are happy with the changes, we want to save those changes. To do that, we can add the file to the local repository by simply using git commit. The local repository will keep the database with all the changes that we stored in those snapshots. We still can continue to work on our local folder, but we have a snapshot of the state of the file of that specific time. Well, now we understand the concept. Let's run those commands. First, we'll do the git add, then the file name. Then the second command would be the git commit space -m with the commit commands you want to see on the version history. Now let's rerun the git status command again. Now it says that nothing to commit and work tree seems to be clean. So in a nutshell, we have added the file to the staging area and we have committed the changes. Alright guys, so let's say that we have done our changes and committed it. Now we want to upload to the remote repository so that our team can use this updated file. So before we do that, let's run a git remote -b. This lists all the configured remote repository along with its URL. So now we know the configured URL. Let's type git push, then origin main, because we are currently on the main branch. it prompt for the username and password for the GitLab authentication. We can also provide token instead of password. Alright, so we have pushed our code now. Now we can go back to the GitLab page and look at those changes. We can see that whatever changes we have made on our local terminal have been updated to our remote repository. So just like adding the file, we can also delete the file using the git command. So let's go back to the local terminal and delete it using the git rm command with the file name. So we can run the git status again. It says that file_1 has been deleted, and we can do a git push to the remote repository after the commit. So if you go back to the GitLab page now, we can see that file has been removed from the repository. So in this way, we can add or delete files and folders using the git command. So we were just messing around with the main branch so far, which sometimes might not be the case if you are a developer and working with some projects. So working with the main branch might not be the best ways. So typically, we can create branches within our repository and update those branches with the changes or the feature enhancement we want to do. Then merge the new branch with the main if the changes are good to go. So let's see how to do that with the git commands. So for this demo, let's add a new file. We'll call it as configuration, and we'll update some configuration details about router or SPF. So let's push these changes to the main branch and to the remote repository after the commits. So the steps are same. Now let's say we want to modify or customize these configuration details. Well, for that, we'll first have to create a branch using the git branch, then the branch name. We will give it as a configuration as our branch name. And if you enter the git branch command again, so now we can see two branches, the main along with the configurations. So the git checkout command will tell us which branch we are currently in. And if you want to switch to another branch, we can use git checkout with the branch name. In this case, we want to go to the configuration branch. So we can use git switch as well. So now we have switched to the new branch. Let's go ahead and make some changes to the configuration file. If you rerun the git status, it says the configuration.txt has been modified. That means we need to commit that changes before pushing to the remote repository. So also, if you look at the GitLab, currently we can see only one branch, which is a main. So on the terminal, let's run git add first, then the git commit. Now we want to push this configuration, but this time we'll push to the configuration branch. So it could be git push, original, then the configuration. So there are few additional details we can see during this push. It says if you merge this branch with the main, go to this URL. We'll see this from the GitLab page in a short while. But more important, it says the new branch is created and whatever changes we have done in the configuration.txt will be stored into the new configuration branch. So let's go back and check out that on the GitLab. So first of all, we can see an additional branch created on the branch sections and click on the configuration branch to go inside. Then of course we can see the readme file, which is the same file we added on the main. And let's open the configuration file, which seems to be the updated one. We just did it from the terminal. So on the top, you can see we can initiate a merge request if it is good to go to the main branch. So let's go ahead and merge it. So here it says that we are merging from configuration into the main branch, and you can select any other branch instead of main. So we can give a title, description, and also give assignees, reviews for in case of productions, and finally click create merge request. Then we can approve the request, which is optional. Then finally click on the merge button. Alright, so we have successfully merged both branches. And if we go back to the project and click on the branch, we now can see only the main branch. The other branch got deleted automatically after the merging. Those updated configuration are now merged with the main branch. So that's the beauty of the Git. The more you learn about Git, it became very interesting. Alright guys, I hope you got some idea how to use this Git command with some practical examples. So I want to thank you for watching. I'm going to see you on the next one. Till then, you stay awesome. Goodbye.